Yesterday I came across a video where a pastor was talking about tattoos, and this is the video here.
Tattoos will not take you to hell. I am not suggesting, listen, I am not suggesting that from tomorrow you go and get one. That's not what I'm saying. After all, we are all chocolate in our skin. We will not even see it anyway. So don't even bother. All right. I will not probably suggest that you go and get a tattoo and what have you. But a tattoo will not. It doesn't add to your Christianity. It doesn't make you any less spiritual, because in some cultures, tattoos are the order of the day. It is a cultural matter. It is neither here nor there.
Whatever the pastor was talking about, he was not wrong, but I would say maybe he was misleading, because the Bible only mentions tattooing and tattoos just once in the book of Leviticus chapter 19 and verse 28. That you shall not make any cuttings in your flesh for the dead, nor tattoo any marks on you, says the Lord. So this was God speaking, and if you read the entire book of Leviticus 19, God was just Moses. He was just telling Moses about the moral and some of the ceremonies and how the children of Israel should be able to live with the community that they find. Mahali walikuwa katika ile sehemu Wanaisraeli walikuwa, kulikuwepo na watu fulani wanaishi mahali pale. So when God was telling them about this means in the tradition of those people, some of them would cut their flesh in form of worship, some of them will cut their flesh, and even some of them will mark their flesh in form of worship and in form of remembrance. So when God was giving commandment to these people, it was just a way of separating the Israelites from those the pagan worship. Now, us having tattoos is not a wrong thing, but I usually say, what is your conviction about it? Why are you putting it on? Why are you tattooing something on your flesh or on your body? Is the motive right about it? Is the motive good? Or you just saw someone put something on their flesh and you also say, this looks nice, let me also ink it on my skin. So the motive also matters to us, and as believers, it's important for us to understand that us that have received knowledge, that God has given us knowledge, we understand that our body is the temple of God, and there are things that when we do to ourselves, there are things that we may do to ourselves, though in our own conscience, in our own mind, they may not mean much. But when someone else looks at us and they do the same thing, they may not understand why they are doing it, but because we umefanya, wakaona vile umefanya, and then they say, let me try it, and it may cause someone else to fall into sin. I love what Paul says in the book of First Corinthians. 1 Corinthians chapter 8. However, there is not in everyone that knowledge, for some with conscience of the idol will not eat it as it was a thing offered to the idols, and the conscience being weak is defiled. Now, if you go to 9, it says, but beware, lest somehow this liberty you have becomes a stumbling block for those who are weak. The liberty that you have, the knowledge that you have, and the understanding that you have when you tattoo something on your skin, that liberty that God has given you, it may be okay with you, but to somebody else, it might become a stumbling block. There are some of the tattoos that have been used in satanic worship and demonic worship. So when you inked them on your skin, maybe at that time you were not born again, but once you received Jesus Christ, you still have the same thing in you. So it's important also not to show it as much. It's important not to show it as much, because someone else will look at it and say, this is beautiful, let me have it on my skin. So that person gives way for demons now to start tormenting their lives. So whatever the pastor said was not wrong, but I will say it was misleading. because we have been called into light, and once we get the understanding of God, there are things that we just let them go. Paul says that everything is permissible to me, but not everything is right. In the book of First Corinthians 10 and verse number 23, it says, all things are lawful for me, but not all things are helpful. All things are lawful for me, but not all things edify. So some things may not edify other people. Some things may not edify your brother in Christianity. So be very careful about what you do.